Hello everyone. This video will introduce the knowledge of product maintenance for you. I hope you can use H3C products better through this video. Today I will explain to you how to troubleshoot the problem that logs are not generated after applying the IPS function in the next generation firewall. First of all, I would like to introduce the technical background of firewall IPS function. Commonwealth v7 firewall supports the detection of application layer. IPS, intrusion prevention system, is a kind of security technology which can detect and defend the attack of application layer. IPS detects the real-time interactive packets of the equipment to identify intrusions and make certain response actions to the intrusions, so as to achieve the purpose of protecting enterprise systems and networks from attacks. Therefore, timely and accurate IPS log information is of great significance for monitoring whether there are abnormal attacks in the current network. However, after the IPS function is turned on, one of the problems that the site often faces is that there is no IPS log on the device. At this time, a clear troubleshooting idea is needed to determine the cause of the on-site fault. Let's take a look at our troubleshooting ideas and the key points when the device does not generate IPS logs after the IPS function is enabled. The first is to ensure that the IPS license is installed on the device and the signature database has been upgraded to the latest version. The second is to ensure that the on-site application detection engine is in a normal state. If the device CPU or memory is too high, the device application detection engine will be abnormal. At this time, the packet will not undergo in-depth inspection, and therefore no IPS log will be generated. The third is to ensure that the on-site IPS configuration is activated. If the IPS configuration is not activated, the packet cannot match the IPS characteristics. In this case, no IPS log will be generated. The fourth is that in the case of device staking deployment, it is necessary to ensure that packets are processed on the same device to ensure the accuracy of IPS detection. Finally, if there are still no logs generated on site, but we can't confirm whether there is no abnormal traffic in the current network, or the device IPS function failure causes no IPS logs to be generated on site. In this case, we can build a simple test environment to test whether the IPS log of the equipment can be generated normally. Through our brief introduction to the troubleshooting ideas, I believe that everyone has a certain understanding of the IPS function troubleshooting, and then we will give a detailed explanation for each point. First, check the status of the license on the device and whether the signature database is installed correctly. The signature database is the soul of DPI detection. Only when the latest signature database version of the official website is installed on the device can the attack and the threat of the current network can be effectively prevented. You can view the license status of IPS on the device by using the display license feature command. When the license value in the display information is null, it means that the license is not installed. When it is displayed as yes, it indicates that the license has been installed, and the trail indicates that a temporary license is currently installed for the feature and is in a valid state. If it is formal, It means that a formal license is currently installed for the feature and is in a valid state. After confirming that a valid IPS signature database upgrade license is installed on the device, you need to confirm whether the IPS signature database version on the device is the latest version of the official website. You can view the signature database information of the IPS through the Display IPS Signature library. The SIG version parameter is in the echo indicates the current signature database version information of the device. Similarly, you can also select System Upgrade Center Signature Upgrade on the web interface to check the current signature database version of the device and compare it with the signature database version on the official website to confirm whether the signature database is the latest. After confirming that the signature database on the device is the latest version, we need to check whether the application layer engine status of the device is normal. You can view the current running status of the application layer detection engine through Display Inspect Status. The device application layer inspection engine supports 4 running states: normal, bypass by config, bypass by CPU busy, and bypass by memory shortage. The detection of packets by the application layer inspection engine is a complicated process that takes up certain system resources. In the case of insufficient system memory or high CPU usage, the system will automatically shut down the application layer inspection engine to ensure the normal operation of the device. In the bypass state, the application layer's detection engine does not work. That is, the device does not perform DPI deep security inspection on the received packets. IPS logs will not be generated. If the 2 states of bypass by CPU busy or bypass by memory shortage are displayed on the device, you need to investigate the cause of the high CPU or memory on the device. If bypass by configure is displayed on the device, it indicates that there is an inspect bypass configuration on the device. You can use the command shown in the figure to confirm. If there is an inspect bypass configuration, you need to undo inspect bypass to cancel the bypass state of the application layer engine. If it is confirmed that the on-site application layer inspection engine is in normal state, then we need to determine whether the IPS configuration file on the device has been issued normally. Use the command as shown in the probe view to check whether there are IPS-related rules issued under the module name column. If not, then the IPS file on the device has failed to be issued, and we need to reactivate the DPI module configuration file. Enter Inspect Activate in the system view of the command line to reactivate the configuration file of the DPI module. There is also a simpler and more direct way. Select Objects, Security Actions, Advanced Settings on the web interface of the firewall, and click the button of Activate. When 2 COMWARE v7 firewalls are deployed in a stack, both the uplink and downlink are aggregated across frames. If 2 devices are processing business at the same time, there may appear that the packets back and forth will be sent to different devices for processing. In this case, even if the function of session synchronization is enabled, the characteristics of round-trip packets will not be recorded in the session table entry, which will greatly reduce the detection accuracy. Therefore, for the IPS function, it is necessary to ensure that the packets are processed on the same device to ensure the accuracy of detection. You can use the command shown in the figure to view the session on the device to determine whether the packet is processed on the same device. If the packets are processed on different devices, the initiator responder and the responder initiator counts exist on both devices in the stack. In this case, you need to modify the network to be redundant, active, and standby so that the packets can be processed on the same device. In many cases, if the IPS function is configured correctly on-site, but there no logs are generated, then we will suspect that the IPS function is not effective. It should be emphasized here that if there are no abnormal packets in the current network environment, no IPS log will be generated. At this time, we need to set up a simple test environment to test the IPS function. Connect a PC directly to the firewall. Release the policy that this PC accesses the firewall local domain, and call IPS policy in this security policy. Open HTTP service on the firewall. Use the firewall as server, PC as client. Simply form a server and client environment. In the case of normal configuration, you can enter the server-side access link on the client-side browser and put a field that can be detected by IPS after the URL, such as the first test URL in the figure. This operation will be identified as an abnormal attack. The three access links in the example will generate IPS logs on the device, matching IPS rules of 23525 and 23788 and 24485 respectively. After the test is completed, enter the probable view, and you can use the command as shown in the figure to determine whether the underlying rules are hit by packets. The rule hits column has a value indicating that the rule has been matched by attack packets. The above is the whole troubleshooting idea, that the firewall does not generate logs after configuring IPS function. Finally, let's review today's key content. First, check whether the license on-site is valid and whether the signature database version is latest. Then check the application layer detection engine status of the device. If it is in an abnormal state, check the device for different states. Next, you need to check whether the DPI configuration file of the device has been issued normally. If it is not issued normally, you need to reactivate the configuration file of the DPI module. Provided that the configuration is correct, if the site is a cross-frame aggregation, dual master network, you need to ensure that the round-trip packets are processed on the same device. Finally, you can set up a simple test environment to test whether the IPS function of the device is normal. Well, today's content will be shared here. I hope that when you encounter this kind of problem in the future, you can figure out the problem on the spot.